Alright, Chapter 6, Transportation Service Provider Liability. The chapter governs the policy requirements of the releasing the Coast Guard of the cargo actual value of the Coast Guard. The United States government had long maintained the policy self-insuring, own risking loss, the practice of one of the policy, not the law. Therefore, the Coast Guard does not maintain centralized insurance to cover the material loss or damage by the transportation service providers. Policy: the shipment not meeting the definition of valuables, money, securities, checks, precious metals, appropriate funds may be used to measure an increased valuation following the conditions apply. The economy sought by the self-insurance may be defeated. Sound business and practice indicate that the savings realized. Limited liability. Small package shipments. All small package limited. Small package limited. Small packages transportation service provider limits liability. Each transportation service provider different liability limitation limits on the maximum dollar amount that can be declared. Each of the shipment, the package, the check for the transportation service provider. Service guide for the maximum limitation of the monetary change, but the increased valuation procedure for the increase such valuation. So, paragraph 5 for the below discuss the excessive declared valuation. Air freight shipments to transportation service provider. Air freight forwards limited liability along with the monetary limit of the maximum amount that can be declared for each of the shipment packages of the transportation service provider. Service guide for the limitation of the change in order to increase the valuation procedures and increase the valuation. See paragraph 5 at the below the discussion excessive declared the valuation procedures. Motor freight shipments subject to the Department of Defense rate and tendered to all Department of Defense shipments subject to limited liability. The transportation officer and transportation agent shall check the Department of Defense ruling publication for the amount of liability increase and if warranted, full value liability shipments transported with more of the freight of the transportation service provider subject to the GSA standard tender services must full value of the commodity shipped. See excess declared valuation. A different than the transportation service provider described by the excess declared valuation by the different names. The common terms: the declared value, excess declared value, value of carriage, insured value, your declared value. The transportation service provider generally access charges based on multiples of 100. Check the transportation service provider service guide for the computation guideline within the excess declared valuation, indicating the actions of the material do not inflate the event of the loss of the damage. Can Coast Guard receive the actual value of the material limited on the amount of the dollar. The use of excessive declared valuation and the use of must be limited to the circumstances where the Coast Guard would be adversely impacted with the cargo where loss, contents, damage beyond repair. Since the excess declared valuation will incur the additional charge, the use may be limited to shipments peculiar in nature where an item cannot be easily replaced. This items include artifacts and items in limited supply, parts that are out of production. 2. Items with unusual high level where loss would advisedly impact the Coast Guard. But examples of such items: the critical components, parts of the prototype equipment, the computer equipment, the audiovisual equipment, the offices, machines, ports, and the test instruments. Approval from fund managers. From the being shipped for the non-unit funds for the repairable items, the return of the Coast Guard inventory control point, funding units budget officer, the individual inventory control point, the transportation agency agent shall authorize an excessive declared value. Part of the shipment failure to comply with the result of the requesting excessive declared value, paying the increased transportation charges. Excessive declared value documentation required. Additional information is required with the small package express. The small package of transportation service provider shipment is made subject to the contract award of the GSA. The Coast Guard Financial Center requires the include valuation to be coded on the transportation service provider billing and landing. When declaring the excessive declared valuation, the code facilitates the billing process becomes it shows the excessive declared valuation charges for the justified and approved at the unit level. When using excessive declared value, the mandatory to enter one of the following codes in the shipper. The RFE BD1 shows the economy sought for the best self-insurance would be defeated. REF BD2 shows that sound business practice indicates the savings by affected. 2. If there is no shipper reference for the transportation service provider, bill landing, contact the transportation of the freight program manager for the 202-267-0640. Assistance. All unit commanders shall ensure the personnel involved with the preparation shipment of the transportation office, transportation agency, supplier officers are familiar with proper procedure for the excessive declaration valuation. Chapter 7. Freight bills and landing in small package forms.